Listen up, y'all, cause this is it. This is my top 10 manga list of the upcoming year of 2022. How'd you guys like my rap? Completely original, did not steal from anywhere. Welcome to my Manga Boys, my manga channel. I do not have a haul today, nor a reading log in this video, but a top 10 2022 manga upcoming volumes I want so far, because the year's still going, the year's still rolling. At June maybe I'll have an updated list, I don't know, but so far this is what we have. I think most retailers / publishers are up to like July, June, so about half the year so far. So let's get in. Yakuza Reincarnation is my number 1 or number 10. We're gonna start at number 10 and work our way back to number 1 to be my most excited. Okay, so yeah, Yakuza Reincarnation. I'm really interested in this series because, well, it's got fantastic cover art. I think it looks beautiful. So I decided to, add it for that reason. I'm not sure what the series really is about. A quick summary of it from Mal focuses on an old-fashioned Yakuza member who made a career in the underworld. When he is caught in a trap and loses his life, he's reincarnated as a princess in a fantasy world. While now a beautiful girl, the Yakuza still retains the values tempered from a life in a world without honor and humility. So it does seem like a pretty, humor filled manga. I am sure it's going to have some pretty sweet badass moments as well, but we'll see what happens. It is not anything I'm expecting the world of. The Mal percent is 7.52 and the Anti-List is 75%. It is something that I think could be an underground hit, but tough to call those before I've ever even read a single page or anything more than a summary. It definitely is a series that I feel like has potential. Number 9. Rooster Fighter. The battle action manga tells the story of how humanity is threatened by monsters with overwhelming might called Kiju. As the cities are destroyed and the people fall into despair, a rooster stands up against the threat. It is the story of how a single rooster saves humanity. So this is a pretty much rooster fights kaiju, very typical story we're used to quite a bit by now. But it does sound hilarious. I'm actually all for this. The fact that we are just now getting a barnyard animal fighting a whole bunch of monsters is quite shocking to me in hindsight. I can't believe this is the first series. I can't believe we don't have a chicken fighter, a cow fighter, or something like that yet, and this is where we are. So I am looking forward to this for the sheer ridiculousness of the series. I love kaiju, so that's why I'm mostly excited for this, but the absurdities of a rooster fighting kaiju, I'm here for it. The Elusive Samurai by the same creator of Assassination Classroom. This is set between the Kamakura and Muromachi periods. The Kenmu restoration, the story follows the tale of Hojo Tokiyuki, a boy on the run after his family is overthrown by Ashikaga Takauji, with only allies being a shady priest and his followers. The young lord must seek revenge and regain his glory, with his only weapon a superhuman ability to flee and hide. I wouldn't be too thrilled about the series, except for the fact that it's the same author as Assassination Classroom, which I really didn't feel like it had a strong start, but once it got going, I felt it was very good. It is something that the plot doesn't really strike me as super interesting, just reading the summary, but because of the mangaka, I am pretty interested. I do like samurai. It's just the plot of, running away not being too thrilling to me, but that is kind of interesting considering Usopp is probably my favorite character in manga. So it's like, I'm kind of hypocritical there because I do really love Usopp, and probably his best ability besides telling lies that come true is his ability to run away and flee. But, this story also has super good art. So I'm expecting great things from it. I think that this is going to be a more heartfelt and emotional series than anything, but we'll have to see what happens. Number 6, 10, 9, 8. Number 7, World End Salute Day by Satoshi Mizukame. This is from the same author who did Lucifer and the Biscuit Hammer, anime coming soon. Planet With, anime available now. And Spirit Circle, when's the anime? The war is finally over, but the land has been ravaged. Magical pollution runs rampant, distorting time and space. Sorlote, an orphan whose mother and father were killed, trying to eliminate this blight, decides to follow in her parents' footsteps. But rather than cleaning the pollution, she wants to venture into it. Like the salvagers who reclaim treasure from its death, Sorlote wants to push farther and see if she can find the other side, and perhaps even the answers she seeks. So pretty much any story by Satoshi Mizukame, I'm immediately interested in it. It could be like a baby tries to fit the block into the hole, but the block do not fit because square does not fit into circle. I would be there. I'd buy it day one. Okay, pre-ordered it the second it's released or announced. But you know, this does sound a lot more interesting than baby trying to put square into circle hole. I am very excited to read this next story by Satoshi Mizukame. You know, I really have loved his other series so far. I haven't read the manga to plan it with. I hear it's available on Crunchyroll. But the anime was fantastic. It has a lot of subversions to the superhero trope and just overall a killer story. A lot of twists and turns. So I'm sure that this is going to be right up there with one of his greatest releases. The only problem is when I start to read this, I will not have all of the volumes of the series right in front of me, as I'm pretty sure it's still ongoing. So that is too bad. I've only ever read his series with the entire series out. The only thing I haven't, you know, I kept up weekly with Planet With, but again, they just came out every week, so I didn't have to wait that long. So we'll have to see how well I can keep up with this. My real number 6, Hell's Paradise Volume 13, is the finale to this series. A quick summary for this series if you guys haven't been keeping up with it. Captured during an assassination mission, Gabimaru the Hollow is sentenced to be executed, but nothing seems to kill him due to his superhuman body. Believing his love for his wife to be subconsciously keeping him alive, executioner Yamada Aisamon Sagiri offers him the chance to be pardoned of all crimes by the shogunate. If he finds the elixir of life on Shinsekyo, a legendary realm recently discovered southwest of the Ryukyu Kingdom. After losing 5 expedition teams sent to this island, this time the shogunate decides to send a group of death row convicts. The convicts are each given a Yamada Aisamon executioner, who they must return with in order to obtain the pardon. So this has been a very intense series. You never know who's going to live, who's going to die, what's really going to happen. A lot of surprising characters kind of rear their heads in here. I have been really enjoying this series, and so I can't wait to get the finale. This is also written by one of the assistants who helped write Chainsaw Man, and this author has really, you know, grown out to their own, in my opinion. I know I tagged them along with that, you know, moniker of assistant, blah, blah, blah. But truthfully, this series would have been great even without that. I'm just trying to hook more people into it. But yeah, this author really deserves to be free of that moniker, in my opinion. And, you know, they are definitely worthy of their own just amazing title. It'll be more like, you know, this guy was the assistant to Hell's Paradise when they wrote the, you know, whoever rates that manga. But this manga has been intense. I really have been loving how bloody and violent and how great the story is to it. I strongly recommend picking this up if for some reason you've lived under a rock and haven't yet. And the art is just gorgeous. Ragna Crimson, a series I feel like really hasn't gotten a lot of, I don't know, coverage, a lot of praise, a lot of love. It's a story based in a world where dragons rule the sky, sea, and land. Those who would fight them and win must surpass the limits of normal human strength. Set on victory at any cost, dragon hunter Ragna joins forces with the mysterious Crimson. Crimson's motivations may be obscure, but their goal is the same: to destroy the dragon monarchs. And so this series pretty much follows Ragna as he attempts to kill the dragon monarchs, and specifically the one leading dragon, who has a crazy magical ability. You know, Ragna was able to go, you know, he lost actually in his battle at the beginning. And he goes back in time to give his younger self the strength he had in the future, or the present, I guess, in order to defeat the dragons a little bit quicker and save his master, who he loses, actually. So he wants to keep them safe and take out the dragons as quickly as possible to save as many people as possible. A very interesting series. I feel like the art is really quite well as too. You know, the story itself seems so basic, but it's a plot that has, I don't know, it's like everybody's so overpowered that you can't imagine the next guy being more overpowered, but they are, and they whip people's butts in. Real difficult to imagine it, I'm sure, but it's something that I really enjoy reading every time I get it. Probably my number one hate towards it is, you know, it takes forever for these volumes to come out, I feel like. You know, it doesn't come out every other month. I feel like it comes out every 4 months. Maybe it doesn't. Maybe it's a little bit more, but I don't think so. Number 4, The 7 Deadly Sins for Knights of the Apocalypse. You see how I put it number 4 for that reason? Well, okay, it's not exactly that reason. But this has been an interesting sequel. Not much is really known about this series as it is still kind of fresh and new. But the story is set as a sequel to The 7 Deadly Sins, taking place 16 years after the defeat of Demon King in Cath Palug. Set years after the banning of the 7 Deadly Sins, Britannia's most infamous holy knights, the series focuses on the young boy Percival, who discovers that he is destined to be part of a group of 4 knights, prophesized to destroy the world, targeted by the forces of Camelot as a result. Percival travels the world to find 3 other members of the 4 knights, alongside Lancelot, a lioness knight who is the son of the 7 Deadly Sins member Bon. I actually haven't even gotten to Lancelot yet, but it's not really a spoiler to know that Lancelot is Bon's son. If you read the end of 7 Deadly Sins that came out like 2 or 3 years ago, or saw it, I think, last year. The series so far is very cool. It hasn't had any real returning characters at this point. They do mention Arthur and they hint at Merlin, but really not too much has been known about the other characters at this time. I really am interested to see what happens with Tristan, who is the son of Meliodas, just to see what's happening there. And there have been a few covers that have showcased the vampires on there. Something I criticized the 7 Deadly Sins for not focusing on that much of because, well, they kind of came up at the end and they're extinct and too bad. And then there ended up being one story about them that came out a little later. But still, I was kind of interested more in these vampires to figure out what's going on with these guys. So this is a series I can't wait to learn more about. If you guys love 7 Deadly Sins, and a lot of you who are viewing this channel actually do really like it, I do recommend picking up this series for sure. Maybe wait until there's more out, so that way you can get them in bulk. The 7 Deadly Sins right now have a few options to grab them, such as omnibuses and the box sets as well. Number 3, Tokyo Revengers, Volume 1. Takemichi Hanagaki, I don't know. The 26-year-old Frieder learns one day that his middle school ex-girlfriend, Hinata Takibana, as well as her younger brother, Naoto, have been killed by the Tokyo Manji gang. When Takemichi is pushed in front of a train, he teleports exactly 12 years into the past, 2005. While reliving his middle school years, Takemichi meets Naoto and divulges the exact date he and Hinata will die. When they shake hands, Takemichi is suddenly transported back to the present, creating a time paradox, where Naoto survives and is now a detective. Naoto deduces that every time they hold hands, Takemichi is transported 12 years into the past. Using his knowledge from the future, Takemichi vows to save Hinata. So this series, as everybody knows, has been making waves in the manga community. I actually almost self-printed this series. I had 12, 14 volumes, covers made, which is too bad because, well, it got published by 7 Seas. Despite being published digitally by Kodansha, 7 Seas is actually licensed to this, and I wasted my time making those gosh darn covers. But that's fine because I would much rather have a physical release and support the actual authors that way instead. This is a series that I have been hyped up for quite a while. That's number 3 for a reason. I really, really have been interested to see this series. I actually haven't watched the anime too much. I watched maybe 3 episodes and liked it quite a bit. But it's hard for me to get into the anime knowing I'm going to have to wait months, maybe a year or so, before I can get into more of the story. I'd rather just chip at the volumes as they come out, maybe waiting 3 or 4 months versus like 8 to 24 months to get to the next set of episodes. So yeah, this is a series that I can't wait to get into. I've heard bad things about where it's at now, but a series this good has got to be good for a reason, or this well known has got to be good for a reason. Number 2, Chainsaw Man Volume 11, the finale. This has been a long time coming. We have part 2 coming out pretty soon, so I can't wait for this series to come out. This is definitely one that I cannot wait to read. This is a story about Denji, who is a young man trapped in poverty, working off his deceased father's debt to the Yakuza by working as a devil hunter, aided by Puchita, his canine companion and chainsaw devil. Denji is betrayed by the Yakuza, who kill him for a contract with the zombie devil. Puchita then makes a contract with Denji, merging with him and reviving him as the human-devil hybrid, under the condition that Denji will have a normal life. Denji then massacres the Yakuza and is approached by a team of governmental devil hunters, the Public Safety Division, led by Makima, who persuades him to join their ranks. Agreeing, Denji is partnered with Power, the Blood Fiend, and Aki Hayakawa, a self-destructive devil hunter. Maki promises Denji any favor provided he kill the Gun Devil, the perpetrator of the greatest massacre in human history. This story has taken a lot of twists, a lot of turns. It is incredibly, for lack of a better term, fucked up. And the story just keeps getting grittier, darker, and more twisted. It is very, very difficult for me to see where this finale will go. Deaths have happened that I haven't predicted. Living has happened that I haven't predicted. And the Gun Devil itself is an entity that I did not see coming. This series really has surpassed what I thought any Jump series really would be. It's not typical shonen at any point. It's definitely more of a seinen, but it's pretty insane even for a seinen. I would say think of Gantz, but mix Gantz with some incredible mind fuckery. I don't know what would even be a good example to mix it with, but Gantz, if you have acid, I guess would be a way to describe it. And my number 1, we'll wait for just a second after we have a quick special little number 1.5. I didn't want to include this on my top 10 volumes I'm looking forward to in 2022 because this isn't really coming out in a volume format, at least not in America quite yet. I don't even think it's been announced to come out in volume format in Japan, though I'm sure it will. And that is Zatch Bell Part 2. Zatch Bell is a series I've been really moonlighting as of late, as I recently read the whole series and printed the remaining of the series. And so I cannot wait for Zatch Bell Part 2. I really did enjoy Zatch Bell. A lot more than I would have thought. It's a series that I grew up with and thought that maybe I just had a lot of nostalgia for. No, this series is totally great. I need to trust my younger self more often. I had really good taste when I was in high school, middle school. I don't understand why I doubt my taste back then. Maybe because I just read whatever was available to me, but what was available to us in the world back then was really good. That's what got the manga market to what it is today. The series itself ended quite well, and I predict Part 2 will pick up with Zatch either entering university or in the middle of his college, in the middle of his high school days. I really lean more towards either Kyo being in university or starting his own job, and Zatch currently, doing his thing. I don't really want to spoil what Zatch is doing, but it's pretty obvious to guess if you've ever read the first volume of Zatch Bell. This is a series that has been dormant for, 15 years now, maybe even longer. I don't have the exact dates in front of me, but it's something that I cannot wait to get into, so I'm looking forward to this very, very much. My number 1 pick, though, has to be One Piece Volume 100. One Piece is my absolute favorite manga I've ever read / am reading. I read this series every week, chapter by chapter. And I used to read every volume as they came out. I have since decided to let my brother, read the volumes before I do. And so I pretty much get the volumes and let him borrow it whenever I see him next. I have a lot of volumes to catch up on, but at the same time, I have a lot of actual other series that I haven't even read yet. So I decided to give them the priority. Once I kind of get really close to caught up with my backlog, I do plan to just binge One Piece from the Dressrosa arc. I think I last stopped reading the actual American releases, or English releases rather, right after the fight with Doffy. But, I only stopped because, I was in school and I wasn't making money because I didn't have a job. It was rough in school for me. I didn't have a lot of time to work, and so I didn't buy manga. I just went out to bars with whatever money I had and got groceries. You know, your typical student, okay? Your typical good-natured, good-willed student. You know, so this is a series that I've been reading forever. I started off by seeing it on Toonami, saying that this is garbage for kids and I never want to watch or read this manga / show. It's never going to go anywhere. I then started to see clips of the Skypiea arc as well as the Water 7 CP9 arc. I recently figured out how to torrent anime at that time. There wasn't really any anime streaming services back then when I was a kid, and so, you know, a lot of people in my community were hyping up One Piece big time, and so I decided to take a look at it and, you know, jump into it after seeing these clips of Luffy versus, you know, Rob Luffy, and then also the CP9 fights as well. Just in general seemed really cool. So I hopped back on board. I really hate the East Blue arc. It is not my least favorite arc, surprisingly. That would be Mermaid Island. I think that is absolute dumpster fire of an arc, and I hate it. But I really enjoy the series quite a bit. I feel like every other arc is amazing. Some standouts for me would be the CP9 arc, the Paramount War arc, Wano arc, and even the Shabadi Island / the I mean, I guess if you count this as a different arc, the Impelled Down arc would probably be my top arcs of One Piece. I do really enjoy Usopp. As I said earlier, he is probably my favorite character in manga, Kamina being my favorite character in anime from Gurren Lagann. You know, this is just a series that I've really grown up with and enjoy quite a bit. I cannot recommend the series enough. If you ever had a hard time getting into this series, I strongly recommend skipping the East Blue arc. Trust me, if you watch the anime, there are plenty of flashbacks to figure out what the heck's going on. And if you're reading the manga, I would just say, well, read a little bit further on ahead. And if you get the interest to figure out where all these characters came from and their origin stories, I would say go back then. But really a good place to start is definitely when they leave Roguetown and they land, or Logetown depending on your translation, and they land on the other side of the Reverse Mountain. I think that's what it's called. And then they find, I think his name's Dr. No, it's not Dr. Clover. It can't be. That's a different guy from Nico Robin's place. Anyways, this guy's a doctor, and he's got Laboon the Whale, and everybody loves Laboon the Whale, and I love Laboon the Whale, and it starts the Baroque Works arc. That, I feel like, is a very good place to start. You know, if you, like I said, really enjoy the series, I would recommend going back to the East Blue arc, but personally, not a big fan. Highlights of the East Blue arc for me would be Barate. I really hate Don Krieg. I think it's a trash villain. However, I really enjoy Sanji's flashback. I enjoy Zoro and Mihawk's meeting. I really enjoy seeing, you know, the first kind of twist to the story with Nami. So that, I feel like, is a pretty good arc. I don't think the villains are that great in that arc, but it alludes to a lot of what's to come of One Piece starting at that point. And then the, you know, Arlong Park arc is pretty good. It's better than I give it credit for every time, but it is not bad. Buggy the Clown is probably my favorite quote-unquote villain of the series. He is a character that I hold near and dear to my heart. And he, you know, I really wish he was in more volumes. I really wish that he even got his own spinoff. I would read it. I would read it so hard. Don't even call it One Piece. Call it Buggy Piece. I'm on board. I'm in it to win it. Anyways, what did you guys think of this top 10 / you know, 11 list? What is your upcoming, you know, volume / series that you're interested in? Anything that I am missing here? Did I give you anything new to check out? Please let me know in the comments down below, and please do remember to like, comment, and subscribe. It helps this channel out quite a lot, and I'm getting ever so close to hitting that beautiful, beautiful YouTube partnership. So, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you on the next one. I'll probably be doing a few of these videos until I start to get a lot more hauls in. See you later, and bye-bye!